Good morning. So we're back on the boat after 2.5 weeks away. We've been building a pottery studio back at home, and now we're back onto the boat and we're getting ready for a really busy week because we have a workawayer coming to help us from the Czech Republic. We've had him before. He came to work with us in France for twice. And now he's going to come and help me get the tongue and grooving and the boarding out done on the boat. And we've also got somebody coming from the 12-volt boating group to help us put in our lithium batteries and organise that whole setup. So he'll be here for a week next week. In the meantime, yesterday we had to spend half a day clearing up because our brilliant Triton workbench turned out not to have a dust collector on it, so the boat was full of sawdust. So we bought one of these, which will collect all the sawdust from the Triton, and then we had to buy one of these off Facebook Market Group, and that means now that we can keep it clean as we work. We do try to work outdoors where we can, but obviously British weather is not always possible. The other thing I've noticed is that we've got one coat of primer on the boat, but it's starting to rust really quickly on movable parts like the hinges. So I think that we're going to have to put a couple of coats of primer on it before too long. We were going to wait until we finished the boat next year and then take it all up to a polytunnel, but I think by then I'll be having to sand back so much rust that it's going to make twice the work. So I'm going to be checking online for some good primer later, and then we'll have to wait for a good day to put it on, but that'll be handy having our workawayer here to help with that. The other problem is this lot behind. They're putting the facade on the flats now, but they're creating an awful lot of dust, and the slightest breeze and there's just puffs of dust coming over us all the time. So we're going to have to wait for a day where there's no wind at all. My task today is to screw the trunking together. So although I trained in materials-based 3D design, wood is my least favourite medium. It's all that measured twice and cut once. Anyway, Henry figures it all out for me. He figures out the measurements and where everything's got to go, and he makes up these brilliant Heath Robinson jigs and drilling guides, tells me what I need to do, and then I do the grunt work. So this is a little jig down here which helps me to screw that to that in place. Ingenious. Next bit.
Right, to get all the holes in the same place on each one, we use this jig,
All right.
which you flip over for one end and then the other.
Okay.
It's quite easy, you can't really get it wrong.
Right. So 2 holes there.
Yeah.
Flip it over, up that end, and then 2.
Where did you have it?
Well, it was that way down here, back holes there. So
Yeah, just flip it as you've got it, as you in that position now.
okay, well that's what I did.
Oh, it was being held up by that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then
2 holes there, 2 holes there.
those two.
So guiding hole, and then because that says back and that says back. Do you want a left-hand side and a right-hand side, or does it not matter?
That's why it says back that way.
Right. Okay. Back that way, back that way. Okay. All right.
But if you try and do it like that, it wouldn't work.
Okay, got you. All right. So all of them need 2 holes in them,
Yeah.
and then we do the next bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. Cool. So, taking a walk around the boatyard, see what other projects are going on. And there's one over here that's come a bit unstuck. It's a bit unfortunate. The cranes lifted the mobile home onto the pontoon, but the weight of the mobile home was on 4 points, and the pontoon collapsed. And also I think some of the floats underneath didn't stay afloat. So it's back to the drawing board for this one. When it is done, it's going to be floated over to the other side of the river to sit on one of the jetties over by the houseboats. But for the time being, I'm going to have to go back to plan A on this one, I think. And as if by magic, Jakub's here, and he's fitting the temperamental pipes for the radiator, which have taken a lot of untangling.
That's right, same with the waiter. Okay, I don't have to, but I might have to.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're not making them. Alright?
So the great thing about Jakub being here is I've finally been able to get all this trunking finished. The problem is that the spray foam undulates and this doesn't, and we wanted it to be the same all the way along to make sure all the electrics can fit in it. So there's been a lot of chopping out to make, putting spaces in here to make it fit, but we finally got it done. God, that's out of the way. And now we've put in the hot and cold water pipes and the radiator pipes. These come in a coil, which is impossible to undo. So we managed to loosen those up by pouring boiling water down, and they're all fitted in place and ready to go. And then the next thing will be to turn our pile of reclaimed wood into tongue and grooving, ready to cover all this section. Well, the end of another week. We've got on really well this week. Trunking's done, pipes are in. We've made a start on turning the pile of planks into tongue and grooving. Still don't know what we're going to do about the paint at the moment. I will paint the lockers with bilge paint, but by asking around online, I found out that primer is porous, not waterproof. I didn't realise. So I've got to make a decision whether to leave the painting until the end of this fit out, in which case there'll be a lot more rust to take off, or whether to do some treatment in the meantime. But two of the chaps from the Boatyard are going to come and have a look, and we'll talk it over and decide what's best to do. So next week it will be continuing with the tongue and grooving and putting it onto the walls, and it's going to start to look really tidy in here once that happens. I've got to start choosing colours then as well. Okay, it'd be great if you could subscribe. Still trying to get to 100, and I'll make another one next week. Bye.